Divorced men. What was the most ruthless rejection you gave? Story 1. My ex showed up at my apartment like it was still hers. Heels clicking, mascara perfect, carrying a grocery bag like she was doing me a favor. I just need somewhere safe for a few nights, she said, already stepping inside. I didn't move. I held the door like a bouncer. She blinked. Seriously? After everything, you're going to act like I'm a stranger? I smiled. That was the ruthless part. Not yelling. Not insults. Just calm. You are. She tried the old script, tears on command. I'm not asking to get back together. I just need help. I nodded like a customer service rep. I understand. Here are your options. I pulled out my phone and read them off slowly. Hotel 2 blocks away. Your sister's place. Your boyfriend's place. Her face snapped tight. We broke up. That's not my emergency, I said. She stepped closer, lowering her voice like she could hypnotize me. You're really going to turn me away? You used to love me. I leaned against the frame. I used to love the version of you that didn't lie to my face and call it finding herself. She went pale. I said I was sorry. I held up one finger. I'm not debating. I'm not negotiating. I'm not your fallback plan. Then I took the grocery bag from her hand and placed it outside on the hallway floor like it was a delivery. I didn't slam the door. I didn't curse. I just said, good luck, and closed it gently. Through the wood, I heard her whisper, furious. You're cold. I answered loud enough to be heard, still calm. No, I'm healed. Story 2. My ex called me from an unknown number at 2:11 a.m. I answered because my kid was with her that week and my stomach dropped. A sobbing voice. It's me. Please don't hang up. Is our son okay? I asked. Silence. Then, he's asleep. I'm the one who's not okay. I sat up, fully awake now. So he's fine. She inhaled shakily. I'm losing the house. I'm behind. I don't have anyone else to call. I could hear a TV in the background. Some late-night infomercial, like the universe was mocking her. For a second, I pictured her on the couch in the same blanket she used to steal from me. Then she said it. The line she thought would crack me open. You're the only man who ever really cared about me. That's when I got ruthless. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even sound angry. I said, no. I was the only man you could control. She choked. That's not fair. I cut in. Stop. Before we go further, I'm going to record this call. What? Why? Because you're calling at night while our child is there. And because the last time you got desperate, you got creative. She went ice cold. I'm not doing anything. I'm not accusing, I said. I'm protecting myself. Then I added, also, I'm not sending money. Not now, not later. Don't ask again. Her voice turned sharp. So you're just going to watch me drown? I exhaled. You didn't drown. You jumped. And you pushed me first. She started crying again, softer. Please, just talk to me like you used to. And here came the real rejection. The one that made her stop breathing for a second. I don't miss you, I said. I miss the man I was before you trained me to beg. Then I hung up and texted her. One line. If our son is ever used as a reason to contact me emotionally, I'll go through the court. She didn't call again. Story 3. I ran into my ex at my cousin's wedding. Of course I did. She was wearing the dress I once bought her. The one she said made her feel expensive. She walked straight toward me like the aisle belonged to her. Look at you, she said, eyes scanning my suit. You finally learned how to dress. I didn't bite. I sipped my drink. She leaned in. So, are you seeing anyone? I pointed at the table behind me where my girlfriend, now fiancé, was laughing with my aunt, fitting in like she'd always been there. My ex's smile twitched. Oh, that's cute. Then she did the thing that used to work, lowered her voice, made it intimate. We should talk privately. I never got closure. I stared at her for a long moment, like I was trying to remember a name I didn't care about. You want closure? I said. Yes, she breathed, hopeful. I nodded and pulled my phone out. I opened my notes app. I wrote something for you a long time ago. I never sent it. Her eyes lit up. I read it out loud, right there by the champagne tower. Closure is the gift you demand when you're scared the person you hurt is doing fine without you. Her mouth fell open. I scrolled. There's more. She grabbed my wrist. Stop. I stepped back, voice still even. You don't get closure from me. You get consequences. The end. People around us started glancing over. She looked trapped, humiliated, like she'd walked onto a stage without realizing the lights were on. She hissed, "You're embarrassing me." I shrugged. No. You came here to test if you still had power. I'm just returning the results. Then I walked past her to my fiancé, took her hand, and said loudly enough for my ex to hear, "You ready to go dance?" My ex stood there frozen, holding her expensive dress like it could protect her from the fact that she'd lost. Story 4. When my ex showed up at my work, I knew she was desperate because she hated my work. She used to call it your little warehouse job, like it was a personality flaw. She waited in the lobby like a queen visiting peasants. When she saw me, she stood and smiled. Hey, I just want 5 minutes. My coworkers slowed down, pretending not to watch. I could feel the curiosity buzzing in the air. I didn't invite her outside. I didn't offer a chair. I just said, you have 30 seconds. Go. Her smile faltered. Wow. Okay. I deserve that. Look, I heard you got promoted. 20 seconds. She swallowed. I'm trying to start over. I'm in a program. I'm 15. Her eyes narrowed. Can you not treat me like a criminal? 10. She stepped closer, voice shaking. I made mistakes. But you're acting like I ruined your life. I glanced at my name badge, then back at her. No, you ruined your life. You just expected to keep the benefits of mine. 5, I added, checking my watch. Her voice turned frantic. I need you to vouch for me. I applied for an apartment and they called my old landlord and I held up a hand. Time. She blinked. You're kidding. I walked to the front desk and spoke to the receptionist like my ex wasn't even there. If anyone who isn't scheduled tries to meet me here again, tell them I'm not available. Then I turned to my ex and delivered the most ruthless thing I've ever said to someone I once planned a life with. I'm not your reference, I said. I'm your warning label. She stood there, cheeks burning, while my coworkers resumed walking like the show was over. And it was, for her. Story 5. My ex sent me an email titled, "We need to talk like adults." Inside was a paragraph about peace and healing and finally ending the war. The last line, I think we owe it to each other to meet. I didn't reply for a day. Not to be petty, because I wanted to answer with precision. Then I responded with a single attachment, a PDF. She texted immediately. What is this? I texted back, read page 3, another pause. Then, are you serious? That PDF was a timeline I'd kept during the divorce. Dates she emptied the account, screenshots of messages, the night she left our kid at my mom's without telling anyone, the I'm staying at a friend's lie that turned into a 6-month affair. She called me shaking with rage. Why would you send me that? I said I wanted peace. I said, you want peace like arsonists want closure after the fire. She tried to soften. I'm different now. I made my voice gentle, almost kind. That's great. Then why are you doing this? Because, I said, you don't get to rewrite history just because you're tired of being the villain in your own story. She cried. So you'll never forgive me? Here's the ruthless rejection. The one that landed like a door locking. I forgave you a long time ago, I said. That's why I don't need you in my life at all. Then I added, if you contact me again for anything not involving our child, I'll only respond through my lawyer. She whispered, broken. You really don't care. I answered honestly. I care the way you care about a scar. I notice it sometimes, but I don't let it decide where I go. And I hung up, feeling nothing, which was the point. Story 6. My ex cornered me at the ER entrance like she'd been waiting for a camera crew. Hair messy on purpose. Hoodie hanging off one shoulder, eyes already glossy. Don't freak out, she said fast. It's not our son. It's me. I got in an accident. I froze anyway. Not from love, just from the muscle memory of panic she trained into me. What happened? I asked. Because I'm not a monster. She held up her wrist in a cheap brace. Minor. But I'm scared. Can you stay? Please. I didn't want to call anyone else. I looked past her shoulder and saw it. Her phone propped against her purse. Front camera angled up, recording. Red dot glowing. I pointed at it. Turn it off! She fumbled, dramatic. My sister wanted updates. Turn it off. She did. The glow disappeared. Her expression changed immediately, like someone yanked the plug on the performance. Okay, she snapped. Fine. I just wanted you here. I nodded. I'm here. Her face softened again. So you'll stay? I stepped to the side, letting a nurse push a wheelchair through. I'll do what a decent person does. I'll make sure you're checked in. I'll call whoever you actually trust. Then I'm leaving. Her eyes widened. Leaving? Are you serious? After everything we had? I leaned closer so my voice wouldn't carry. You didn't call me because you're scared. You called because you're lonely, she whispered, angry. You're supposed to care. I do, I said. The way I care about a stranger on the sidewalk. I don't take them home. She tried one last hook. If I post what you're doing right now, I smiled, tired. Post it. Include the part where you recorded yourself begging in an ER parking lot. She went still. I walked inside, told the front desk her name, watched a nurse take her away, and then, right in front of her, texted her sister. She's here. She's safe. Please come. My ex stared at my screen like it was a betrayal. Then I turned and left without looking back, and the automatic doors shut like a verdict. Story 7. She invited me to talk at the coffee shop we used to go to. I said yes because I thought it was about custody scheduling. She showed up in the same perfume that used to make me forget my own name. I miss us, she said, hands wrapped around her cup like a prop. I've been doing a lot of reflecting. I'm here about the calendar, I said. Her mouth twitched. Always business with you now. That's what killed us. I didn't answer. I opened my laptop and slid it slightly so she could see the spreadsheet. She laughed like I was joking. You brought a laptop? I brought clarity. She leaned forward. Okay, here's clarity. I want to try again. I know I hurt you, but we could. I held up my finger. Before you finish, I need you to hear something. She paused, hopeful, like I was about to confess love. I clicked play. A recording filled the tiny space between us. Her voice from 2 years ago, drunk at a party, laughing into her friend's phone. He'll take me back. He always does. He's pathetic. Her face drained of color so fast it was almost impressive. I watched her eyes dart around, checking who could hear. A couple in the corner looked up. The barista froze mid-wipe. She hissed, "Why would you?" I stopped the audio. That's why. Tears sprang up instantly. I said stupid things. I was angry. No, I said. You were honest. She grabbed her cup, hands shaking. So this is revenge? I shook my head. Revenge would be me yelling. This is me making sure you never confuse access with entitlement again, she whispered. You recorded me? I didn't, I said. You did. You just forgot people keep receipts. Her jaw tightened. So what, you hate me? I packed up my laptop. Hate is still a relationship. She stared like she didn't understand. I stood. We'll communicate through the parenting app. That's the only version of you I'll ever meet again. As I walked out, she called after me, voice cracking. You're really done? I didn't turn around. I just raised my hand like I was dismissing a taxi and kept walking. Story 8. My ex showed up at my door with a suitcase and a smile that screamed, I practiced this in the mirror. Surprise, she said. My lease fell through. I just need a week. I didn't open the door wider. No, she blinked. Don't be dramatic. I actually laughed. Not loud. Just a single breath. You're holding a suitcase. She tried to wedge her foot in the gap like we were in some rom-com. We can be adults. I looked down at her foot. Then back up. Move it. She didn't. So I reached behind me and pulled out a manila envelope. I'd kept it by the door for months, like a fire extinguisher. What's that? She asked, suspicious. I slid it toward her through the gap. You're weak. She opened it and her eyebrows shot up. Inside were 5 pages. A printed list of nearby hotels, a screenshot of her sister's address, and, on top, a copy of the old mediation agreement she'd broken 3 separate times. On the last page was a single line in bold. Any non-emergency visit requires 48 hours notice. No exceptions. Her voice went sharp. You're giving me paperwork? I'm giving you boundaries, I said. You burned the bridge, so I replaced it with rules. She tried to pivot, softer. I'm not the same person. I nodded. Then you'll have no problem respecting this. She stared at the line, then at me. So you're really going to leave me out here? I tilted my head. Out here is where you keep showing up. It seems like your favorite place. Her eyes flashed. You're enjoying this? No, I said, dead calm. I'm preventing it. She stepped back like she'd been slapped. I closed the door slowly. Not because I was angry. Because I wanted her to feel every inch of it. Through the wood, she shouted, You'll regret this. I clicked the deadbolt. Clack. Then I added, loud enough for her to hear, Regret needs access. You don't have any. Story 9. She tried to get me at the worst possible time. My company's holiday party. I was finally the guy with the microphone, thanking my team, smiling like my life wasn't a crater anymore. Then I saw her, standing near the back, dressed like she belonged there, laughing too loudly with people who didn't know her. After my speech, she slid up beside me, eyes sparkling. Wow, look at you. Big man now. I didn't flinch. This is a private event, she pouted. I was invited. I glanced at the badge clipped to her dress. It said, +1 no name, no company logo. Just +1. I exhaled. Who brought you? She leaned in. Does it matter? I'm here. That was when I realized the trap. She wanted a scene, a photo, a rumor, a moment. So I gave her one, just not the one she wanted. I raised my hand and caught my HR manager's eye. Hey, I said casually, like I was ordering a drink. Can you check the guest list? This person seems misplaced. My ex's smile froze. Don't do that. HR walked over immediately. Ma'am, can I see your invitation? My ex's voice sharpened. I'm with someone. Great, HR said. Who? My ex looked around wildly, scanning the room like her rescue would appear. No one moved, because whoever brought her had already abandoned ship. Her cheeks burned. This is humiliating, I shrugged. You came for attention. Congratulations, she hissed. You're making me look crazy. I took a sip of water and said the most ruthless thing I could without raising my voice. You don't need my help to look like anything. HR gestured politely. Ma'am, please come with me. My ex turned to me, eyes wide with rage and panic. You used to protect me. I met her gaze steady. I protect my life now. As HR escorted her out, the room went quiet for half a second. Then my team started clapping, thinking it was part of some leadership moment. I didn't explain. I just smiled and turned back to my people while she disappeared through the doors like a bad memory getting deleted. Story 10. She tried to bait me with nostalgia. She mailed me a box. No return address. Just my name, written in her handwriting. The one that used to sign cards like a promise. Inside, photos. A dried flower from our wedding. A keychain. A note that said, I found these and I cried. Maybe we can talk. I miss my best friend. For 3 minutes, I actually felt something. Then I flipped the note over. On the back, in faint pen marks she didn't realize showed through, was a rough draft. Like she'd practiced the message. Mention wedding. Mention tears. Mention best friend. Ask to meet. It wasn't a letter. It was a script. That's when I decided my rejection would be surgical. I took every item from the box and laid it neatly back inside. Then I added one thing. A printed screenshot of her draft, showing through the paper, circled in red. I taped the box shut. I wrote one sentence on top in thick marker. Return to sender. Not accepting manipulation at this address. Then I drove to the post office myself. I didn't ask a friend. I didn't hand it to my girlfriend. I wanted to feel the finality. At the counter, the clerk asked, Any idea what's inside? I smiled, light. Old habits. She texted me an hour later like a grenade. Did you seriously send it back? I replied with the only message I've ever sent that felt like a clean cut. Please stop trying to re-enter my life through the museum gift shop. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. And that silence? That was the loudest rejection I ever gave her. Story 11. My ex tried the emergency angle by texting me a photo of an eviction notice. No hello, no context. Just a blurry paper and I have nowhere to go. I need you. I stared at it for a full minute. Not because I felt guilty, because I recognized the pattern. When she wanted something, she'd skip the human part. So I replied, Send the full document. I need to confirm it's real. She instantly called. Why are you interrogating me? I'm panicking. Because last time you panicked, I said. You lied. She sniffed dramatically. I'm not lying. I swear. I just need a bridge until I figure it out. I waited. Send. The document. She didn't. Instead, she sent a selfie. Red eyes, messy hair, thumb covering half the lens like an accidental cry for help. That told me everything. I replied with 3 numbers. A local housing assistance hotline, a women's shelter intake line, and her brother's phone number. She called again, furious. Are you kidding? You're sending me shelters? I'm sending you solutions, I said. You asked for help, not a reunion. Her voice cracked. You're humiliating me. No, I said. I'm refusing to be your plan. Then she dropped the thread, like she always did when she lost control. If you don't help me, I'll tell everyone what you did to me. I inhaled slowly. This was where I used to beg. Now I said, go ahead, and I'll show them the messages where you admitted you made it up last time. Silence. She whispered. You kept that? I kept everything, I said. Because I learned from you. She tried one last soft plea. Please, I just want you to care. I care, I answered. That's why I'm not giving you what you want. Then I turned my phone off for the first time in years and went back to sleep. In the morning, I saw she'd posted a vague quote about men who abandon women. I didn't respond. That was the ruthless part, letting her scream into the void she created. Story 12. My ex showed up at my kid's school pickup and acted like she owned the sidewalk. She waved at other parents, laughed too loud, did that performance where she looks like the most involved mother in the world. Then she walked up to me, smiling, and said, we should do Christmas morning together. For him, I glanced at our son, who was swinging his backpack like a helicopter, oblivious. I said, no. Her smile stayed. Come on, don't punish him. I knelt and zipped my kid's jacket, taking my time. Then I stood up and looked her in the eye. This isn't punishment, I said. This is reality. She crossed her arms. You're being petty. I shook my head. Petty would be me telling the other parents why you missed 3 pickups last month. Her eyes flashed. Don't you dare. I leaned in slightly and kept my voice quiet. Then stop using our child as a prop. Her mouth opened, then closed. She tried again, softer, like she was reading from a script. I'm trying to create healthy memories. I nodded. Great. Create them on your time. She stepped closer. He deserves both of us. I said, he deserves stability. He doesn't deserve a front row seat to your guilt. Her face went tight. So what? You're replacing me? I looked over at my car where my girlfriend was waiting, waving at my son with a warm, normal smile. No drama. No stage. I said, I'm not replacing you. You replaced yourself when you made our home unsafe. She stared at my girlfriend like she'd been slapped. Then she snapped, loud enough for a couple parents to hear, You're doing this to hurt me. I raised my eyebrows. Lower your voice. And that's when I did it. The ruthless move that ended the conversation forever. I turned to my son and said, cheerful and clear, Hey buddy, we're going to make hot chocolate at home. Say bye to Mom. He waved. Bye, Mom. And I walked away while she stood there, speechless, realizing she didn't get a scene, just a goodbye. Story 13. After the divorce, my ex kept fishing for one last talk. She'd send messages like, I want to apologize properly, or we need closure. I ignored them. Then she sent, I'm pregnant. My hands went cold. The timeline didn't make sense, but fear doesn't care about math. I replied, call me. Now. She called instantly, voice trembling in a way that sounded practiced. I didn't know how to tell you. Is it mine? I asked, blunt. She sniffed. I mean, it could be. That was it. That single phrase lit up every warning sign I'd ever ignored. I said, okay, we'll handle it like adults. Her relief was immediate. So you'll meet? We can talk in person. No, I said. We'll handle it with documentation. She paused. What? I'm scheduling a paternity test, I said. And until we have results, you and I communicate through email only. Her voice sharpened. You don't trust me? I don't trust chaos, I said. And you bring it like perfume. She started crying. You're being cruel. I'm scared. I let her cry for a second. Then I asked, calm, what's the due date? She hesitated. I don't know exactly. Early spring, I said. What does the doctor say? Another pause. Too long. She snapped. Why are you interrogating me? Because you're lying, my brain screamed. Instead, I said, because if you're pregnant, there's paperwork, appointments, dates. She went quiet, then whispered, I just wanted you to answer. I just wanted you to care again. That was the moment I realized she'd used the biggest possible bait. My voice dropped to ice. If you ever use a child, real or imaginary, to access me again, I will file for a restraining order. She gasped. You wouldn't. I would, I said, because you just proved you'll say anything. Then I added the most ruthless line I've ever delivered. I'm not your ex anymore. I'm your consequence. She hung up. 10 minutes later, she texted, forget I said anything. I was emotional. I screenshot it. Not for revenge. For protection. And I never answered her again. Story 14. My ex showed up at my mother's house during Sunday dinner, which was wild because she used to roll her eyes at my family like we were an inconvenience. My mom opened the door and my ex stepped in holding a pie like a peace offering. I just wanted to apologize, she said, voice sweet. I miss this. I miss you all. I walked into the hallway and saw my mom's face. Hopeful, confused, a little too kind. My ex's eyes locked on. Can we talk? I've changed. I looked at the pie. Store-bought. Still in plastic. Price sticker visible. Even her apologies were lazy. I said, not here. She put on the wounded look. Why are you so hostile? I'm trying. I nodded. You're trying to get back into the room you burned down. My mom touched my arm. Honey, maybe just hear her. I turned to my mom gently. Mom, I love you. Please go back to dinner. My ex's smile tightened. She hated when I set boundaries without shouting. When my mom left, my ex whispered, you always make me look like the bad guy. I said, you did that yourself. She stepped closer. So you're just going to cut me off from your family too? I stared at her like she'd asked for a kidney. They're not your stage. Then I did the ruthless thing. I picked up her pie, walked to the door, and placed it outside on the porch. She blinked. What are you doing? I opened the door wider. Ending your visit. Her voice rose. This is insane. I came here with peace. I nodded. Peace doesn't show up uninvited. She trembled with anger. Your mom will hate you for this. I smiled, calm. My mom loves me. That's why I'm protecting her from you. She stood frozen as I closed the door. Through the glass, I saw her staring at the pie like it betrayed her. Back at the table, my mom asked quietly, was that her? I took my seat and said, yes, and she's gone. My mom looked relieved in a way that made my chest ache. That relief was the proof. My rejection wasn't cruel. It was overdue. Story 15. My ex tried to weaponize my new life against me. She emailed my girlfriend. Not a threat. Not an insult. Something worse. Fake kindness. Hi, I'm so happy he found someone. I just wanted to warn you. He can be cold when he's stressed. Don't take it personally. I know him better than anyone. My girlfriend showed me without saying a word. just handed me her phone and watched my face change. I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I waited for the next custody exchange. My ex arrived smiling like she'd already won. When she handed me our son's bag, she said softly, "So, you saw my message?" I stared at her. "Yes." She tilted her head. "I was just being a girl's girl." I nodded slowly. Then I pulled out my phone and opened a draft email, already written. On the screen was her full message, copied and pasted. Under it, my response: "Please don't contact my partner again. Any communication unrelated to our child will be documented and sent to my attorney. If you need a girl's girl, talk to your friends. I'm not your social bridge." I didn't send it. I just held the phone where she could read every word. Her smile died. "You're threatening me?" "I'm defining the border," I said, "because you keep trying to cross it." She scoffed. "She won't last." They never do. That's when I delivered the ruthless rejection. Quiet, clean, and humiliating. I said, "She already lasted longer than your honesty." My ex flinched like she'd been slapped. Then I turned slightly so she could see my girlfriend waiting in the car, waving at my son with warmth, not fear. I looked back at my ex and said, "You don't get access to the people who love me. You forfeited that." My ex's eyes watered, but not from sadness, from rage that she couldn't reach me anymore. I took my son's hand and walked away. Behind me, she muttered, "You think you're better than me now?" I didn't turn around. I just answered, simple and final, "I'm quieter than you now." That's how I know I won. Story 16. My ex figured out my gym schedule like it was still her job to manage my life. I walked out of the locker room one evening and there she was by the vending machines pretending to scroll. "Hey," she said, casual. "Wow, you look different." I didn't stop walking. "Move." She followed alongside me, matching my pace. I just wanted to talk. "It's been a while." I hit the front desk and asked for a towel, like she wasn't there. That drove her insane. "So that's it?" she snapped. "You can't even look at me." I finally met her eyes. "I'm looking. I'm just not feeling anything." She laughed, bitter. "Liar. You don't just stop loving someone." I didn't stop, I said. "It got replaced." "With what?" she asked, eager, like she wanted to compete. I pointed at my chest, then at the doors. "Peace." Her expression twisted. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to apologize." I nodded. "Apologies need accountability." "I'm accountable," she said quickly. "I messed up. I was selfish." "Name it," I said. She hesitated. "Name what you did," I repeated, calm. "One sentence." Her jaw clenched. I hurt you. That's not it." I took a breath. "Try again." Her eyes flashed with anger. "Why are you doing this?" "You want me to grovel?" "I want truth," I said. "Because without truth, your apology is just a fishing hook." She swallowed. "Fine. I cheated." I lied. "I blamed you." I held up a hand. "Good. Now here's mine." She leaned in, hopeful. "I accept your apology," I said, "and I reject you." Her mouth opened like she'd forgotten those could exist together. She whispered, "How can you accept it and still reject me?" "Because forgiveness isn't access," I said. "It's closure." Then I stepped outside into the cold night air and added the ruthless part as I walked away. "I'm not your redemption arc. Go be better where I can't see it." Story 17. My ex tried to trap me with my own kindness. She showed up at my door during a snowstorm, shivering dramatically, holding a tiny dog I'd never seen. "I found him outside," she said. "He would have died." I didn't know who else to call. I stared at the dog, then at her. "Why didn't you call animal control?" I asked. She made a face. "They just put him down." "Please, just let us warm up for a bit." "Us?" She said us like it was natural. I opened the door just enough to take the dog, because again, I'm not a monster. Then I closed the door in her face. She banged lightly, offended. "What the hell?" I held the dog up so she could see through the glass. "He's safe. And me?" she yelled. "You're not lost," I said. "You found exactly where you aimed." Her voice cracked. "It's freezing." I grabbed my phone and called the non-emergency line for animal rescue. While it rang, I spoke through the door, calm. "I'm arranging a foster. They'll be here soon." She blinked, furious. "A foster? You're not keeping him?" "No," I said. "Because this is bait." She tried to soften instantly. "It's not. I thought you'd care." I nodded. "I do care. About the dog." Her eyes widened like she couldn't believe I separated them. Then I did the most ruthless thing. I stepped back so the porch light illuminated her perfectly, and I said louder, not shouting, just clear, "Stop bringing living creatures to my house to buy your way back in." A neighbor's curtain twitched. She realized people were watching. Her cheeks turned red. "You're humiliating me." "No," I said. "You're humiliating yourself with a puppy as a prop." When the rescue van pulled up, I handed the dog to the volunteer, signed a form, and closed my door again. This time without even looking at my ex. Through the wood, I heard her whisper, shaking with rage. You're heartless, I answered, gentle. No, I'm finished. Story 18. She tried a different tactic. She filed a complaint with my company. Not about harassment, not about violence, about emotional abuse during our marriage, years ago. Timed perfectly right after she found out I was dating someone in HR. My boss called me into his office with that look people get when they don't know if you're guilty but they're scared you might be. We received something, he said carefully. It's personal. I read the complaint. It was a masterpiece of half-truths, real arguments twisted into horror stories. My words rewritten like weapons. I didn't panic. I didn't beg. I asked one question. Do you have a policy about employees weaponizing personal relationships? I said. My boss blinked. Yes, I nodded. Then I'd like to submit context. I handed him a folder. Inside, the court's final order, our communication agreement, and, most important, screenshots of her texts from the last month. Her asking to start over, her getting rejected, then her message, fine. I'll ruin you. My boss's eyebrows lifted. She wrote that? Yes, I said. 2 days before this complaint. He exhaled slowly. Okay, he paused. Do you want to pursue anything? Here came the ruthless rejection. Not to my boss, to her. I said, I want you to email her a formal notice that any further contact will be treated as harassment and forwarded to legal. My boss nodded. We can do that. An hour later, she texted me like she couldn't believe consequences were real. You really reported me? I replied with one line. You tried to take my livelihood because you couldn't take my attention. She called, screaming. I didn't answer. Instead, I forwarded the voicemail to my attorney and blocked her number again. Later that night, she emailed from a new address. I just wanted you to talk to me. I wrote back the most ruthless truth I'd learned. You don't want a conversation. You want control. And I hit send. Story 19. At the custody exchange, my ex brought a guy. Tall, smug, hand on her lower back like he was marking territory. She introduced him loudly, for the benefit of my kid and the neighbors. This is Trevor. He's helping me. Trevor extended his hand like we were at a networking event. Heard a lot about you. I didn't shake it. I picked up my son's backpack instead. Trevor laughed. No hard feelings, man. Past is past. My ex watched my face like she was waiting for jealousy to flare. I gave her nothing. Then my son tugged my sleeve and whispered, Mom said you're mad because she's happy. That was it. That was the setup. Poison delivered through a child. I crouched and looked my son in the eye. I'm not mad. Adults say dumb things sometimes. My ex's smile tightened. I didn't say it like that. I stood up slowly and looked at Trevor. Do you have kids? I asked. He smirked. Not yet. I nodded. Then here's free advice. Don't date someone who uses her child as a weapon. My ex's face exploded. Excuse me? Trevor's smirk slipped. He looked at her like he'd just seen a crack in the mask. I continued. Calm, like I was discussing the weather. If she lies to her kid about his father, she'll lie to you about anything. My ex lunged forward. You're trying to ruin my relationship. I shrugged. No. I'm refusing to be your villain so you can feel like the hero. Trevor stepped back slightly, unsure. My ex hissed, say something. I looked at her and delivered the ruthless rejection, simple and public. I don't compete for you, I said. I escaped you. Then I took my son's hand and walked to my car while her new boyfriend stood there, suddenly very quiet, like he'd realized he was dating a warning sign. Story 20. My ex tried to bait me through my dad's funeral. She showed up in black, crying loudly enough to make strangers turn. She hugged my aunt like they were sisters. She kept saying, he was like a father to me, as if she had rights to grief. After the service, she found me by the side of the building where the wind cut through everyone's coats. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I can't imagine your pain. I nodded once. Thanks. She touched my arm. Let me be here for you. We shouldn't be alone during times like this. I stared at her hand on my sleeve. I removed it gently, like you remove a spider without crushing it. This is not your moment, I said. Her face crumpled. What? I'm just trying to support you. I looked over at my mother across the lot. Exhausted, hollow-eyed, holding herself together with pure will. I turned back. If you want to support someone, I said, go apologize to my mom for what you put her through. Her eyes widened. That's not fair. I nodded. Exactly. Death is unfair. So don't use it to negotiate access to me. Her voice trembled. I thought we could at least... I cut in, calm but sharp. No. Then I gave the most ruthless rejection I've ever said to a person at a funeral. You're here because you heard my defenses would be down, I said. But grief doesn't make me weak. It makes me honest. She swallowed, furious and embarrassed. You're humiliating me in front of everyone. I stepped closer and lowered my voice so only she could hear. I don't care what you feel today, I said. I care what my family feels. Then I walked away and stood beside my mother, placing myself between her and my ex like a shield. My ex stayed near the cars, alone, realizing even tragedy couldn't reopen a door she'd slammed years ago. Story 21. My ex tried to accidentally run into me at the grocery store. I know it was planned because she was dressed like a first date, not a Tuesday night. Lipstick, curls, heels that clicked loud on the tile. She pushed her cart right into my aisle and froze like she'd seen a ghost. Oh my God. You. I kept scanning labels. Hi. She laughed nervously. This is crazy. I was just thinking about you. I grabbed pasta sauce. Cool. Her smile twitched. You're still like this. So cold. I finally looked at her. I'm not cold. I'm just not available. She followed me to the checkout like she had something to prove. I heard you're doing well. New place, new car. Must be nice. I didn't answer. At the register, she did the move that used to make me panic. She told the cashier loud, "We used to be married." The cashier smiled awkwardly, waiting for a joke. My ex looked at me like she'd lit a match, expecting smoke. So I handed the cashier my loyalty card and said, "Calm and clear." And now we're not. The cashier blinked. Paper or plastic? My ex's face reddened. Wow, that's it? That's all you have to say? I paid, took my bags, and then I leaned toward my ex just enough for her to hear the ruthless part without a scene. You keep trying to turn strangers into witnesses, I said softly, but nobody here cares about your narrative. Her eyes flashed. You're embarrassed of me. I smiled once. No, I'm vaccinated. Then I walked out with my groceries while she stood at the register clutching her cart like she didn't know what to do when the world didn't join her side. Story 22. My ex tried to get into my head through my kid. She sent him to my place with a note in his backpack. I found it when I was packing his lunch. Pink paper, her handwriting, little hearts in the corners like she was 16. I miss you. I'm sorry. Can we talk privately? For our family. I sat there for a minute, staring at it like it was a bug on my hand. Then I did the most ruthless thing possible without scarring my kid. I turned it into a lesson. When my son came into the kitchen, I said, "Hey, buddy, can you sit for a second?" He looked nervous. Am I in trouble? No, I said, but I found this in your bag. He winced. Mom told me to give it to you. I nodded. Okay. Here's the rule. Grown-up messages don't go through kids. He looked relieved, like he'd been carrying a secret too heavy for his small shoulders. I took a marker and wrote on the note, big and clear, "Do not use our child as a messenger." Then I folded it neatly, put it back in the backpack, and zipped it. My son's eyes widened. Are you mad? I'm not mad, I said. I'm protecting you. At the exchange, my ex opened the backpack and saw the note instantly. Her face snapped from smile to fury. She hissed, "Are you serious?" I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I simply said, loud enough for her to hear, not loud enough for our son. Any message you send through him will come back stamped. Her eyes watered with anger. You're turning him against me. I bent down to my son and said, cheerful, "Love you. See you Sunday." Then I looked at her and delivered the ruthless rejection like a judge reading a sentence. You don't get to use my kid as your mailman. She stood there shaking, and I walked away, because the rejection wasn't a slam. It was a boundary that finally had teeth. Story 23. My ex tried the "I'm in therapy" approach. She asked to meet at a park, daylight, public, like that made it safe. She arrived with a notebook. She actually brought a notebook. I wrote down everything I need to say, she told me, sitting on the bench like she was about to give a TED Talk. I stayed standing. Make it quick. She flipped pages, dramatic. I take responsibility for the ways I hurt you. I can see now how my childhood trauma... I held up my hand. Stop. She blinked. What? Therapy isn't a coupon, I said. You don't collect self-awareness points and redeem them for access. Her jaw tight. I'm trying to grow. Great, I said. Grow away from me. She swallowed, then tried the softer voice. I'm not asking for us. I'm asking for a conversation. A chance. I nodded slowly. Okay, one question. Her eyes lit up. Okay. Why now? I asked. Not last year? Not during the divorce. Why now? She hesitated too long. I leaned in, calm. Is it because you saw me with someone? Is it because you heard I'm doing well? Or is it because being alone got boring? Her notebook shook slightly in her hands. She snapped. You're being unfair. I smiled. No, I'm being accurate. Tears pooled. I loved you. I nodded again. I believe you. You also used me. Both can be true, she whispered. So you'll never give me another chance? Here came the ruthless rejection, clean and final. I already did, I said. You spent it. She stared like she couldn't breathe. I turned to leave and she called after me, voice cracking. I'm different now. I didn't even slow down. Be different for the next person, I said. I'm not your practice round. Story 24. My ex showed up to court for a custody review wearing my old wedding ring. Not on her finger, on a chain around her neck like some twisted memorial. She caught me looking and smiled. I just couldn't throw it away. I felt my stomach turn. Because she wanted tears. She wanted me to collapse into nostalgia in a hallway full of lawyers. I leaned closer and spoke quietly. Take it off. Her smile faltered. Why? It's meaningful. It's manipulative, I said. And it's embarrassing. Her eyes narrowed. You're embarrassed of our marriage now? I didn't blink. I'm embarrassed you're using it as a costume. She looked around, making sure people were watching. You always make me the villain. I nodded. No. You just refuse to audition for any other role. She tried to press the ring chain into my hand. Maybe you should keep it. I didn't take it. Instead, I turned to my lawyer and said, calm. Can we add a note to the record that she's attempting emotional coercion in the hallway? My ex froze. My lawyer raised an eyebrow. We can, my ex hissed. Are you serious? I looked at her, steady. I'm not doing the theater anymore. When we went into the courtroom, she tried to cry on cue. The judge didn't even glance up. And when she slipped the ring chain out to touch it dramatically, the judge finally looked directly at her and said, dry. Ma'am, put that away. Her face went blank, like someone unplugged her. After the hearing, she chased me down the hall. You humiliated me. I delivered the ruthless rejection without a shred of emotion. You humiliated yourself. I just stopped pretending it was love. Story 25. My ex tried to pull me back with a business proposal. She texted, I have an idea. It could make us both money. Meet me. I laughed out loud, alone in my kitchen. Us was her favorite word when she wanted something. Curiosity won, so I met her at a diner. She arrived with a folder, smiling like a salesperson. I found a great investment, she said. Short-term rentals. I need a partner with good credit. There it was. Not love. Not regret. Credit. I nodded like I was listening seriously. Okay. What's the plan? She brightened and started talking fast. Numbers, locations. We can rebuild. This is our fresh start. I let her talk for 5 full minutes. Then I asked, whose name goes on the lease? She smiled. Yours, obviously. But we'd split everything. And if it fails? I asked. She shrugged. Then we handle it, meaning I handle it. I leaned back and said, I'll do it. Her eyes widened. Really? Yes, I said. On one condition. She practically bounced. Anything. I pulled out my phone and opened a contact. You sign a contract agreeing you owe me half of any debt. Enforceable in court. And you provide a security deposit up front. Cash. Her smile died. That's extreme. I tilted my head. So is asking your ex-husband to risk his credit because you want a fresh start, she snapped. You don't trust me, I nodded. Correct. She slammed her folder shut. You're such an asshole now. And that's when I delivered the ruthless rejection that ended the lunch. I'm not an asshole, I said. I'm just no longer the idiot who funds your fantasies. I stood up, left a tip for my coffee, and walked out while she sat there with her folder like a failed pitch deck, finally facing the truth that my life was not a resource she could tap anymore. Story 26. My ex tried to sneak back into my life through a shared account. We didn't even have any more. I got an alert at 6 a.m. Password reset requested. Then another login attempt from a new device. Then her text. Hey, I think someone's hacking me. Can you help? I stared at the message and felt that old instinct. Drop everything. Fix it. Be the hero. That's what she trained me to do. Instead, I replied, no. 3 dots appeared instantly. What do you mean, no? This is serious. I typed, if you think you're being hacked, call your bank and customer support. She called me. I let it ring twice, then answered. Is our son okay? Yes, she snapped. This isn't about him. Then this call is over, I said. You don't understand, she cried. My email is locked. My accounts, everything. I waited. And why is that my problem? She went quiet, then changed tactics. Because you're the only one who knows how to do this stuff. You always... Stop, I said. You're not asking for help. You're trying to recreate dependency. Her voice turned sharp. Wow. So you think everything is manipulation now? I said. Not everything. Just you. She inhaled like I stabbed her. Then I did the ruthless part. I opened my laptop, logged into the service, and changed one setting without telling her. I removed her number as a recovery contact on anything that still connected us. Cleaned every loose thread. Then I texted, I've secured my accounts. Yours are yours. Don't contact me about anything except parenting. She responded immediately. So you did help. You do care. I replied with the final cut. I didn't help you. I protected me. She didn't text for weeks after that. And the silence felt like finally changing the locks.